Hello, everybody. Today I am going to do a short video on how to do a book talk. Last year, if you were with us, we did a book talk and students did an excellent job with it. So I just wanted to offer the opportunity again for students to try doing a book talk this year as well. And I thought it might be a good opportunity to share during the Zoom sharing sessions, either during the month of November or the month of December. So when we do a book talk, the first thing that we want to remember is that we want to choose a book that is going to be a good choice to share with other people. And so I know that last year we had this scripture verse as a guide. So I'm going to share my screen. And this verse comes from Philippians 4, verse 8. And it simply says, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, think about these things. So that's going to be the guideline for us when we choose the type of book we are going to share during our book talk. So I'm going to go right over to the actual book talk template and go through it with you, just so you can kind of see what the requirements are. And I'll just quickly explain. And then I'm going to do a little demonstration. I did a book talk, and so I'll do a little example of what it might look like. All right, so sharing the screen again. Here's our book talk. Thank you for your patience as we go through this. So we start off with the introduction. And the introduction is just sort of a fill in a blank section. So it says, hi, my name is, and you can put in your name here. And then it goes on to say, and I am going to talk about a certain book. So here you just put in your book title. And then the author of this book is, so I have my book here. I'm not sure if you're able to see it very well, but I was going to do The Long Winter as my book title. And then my author's name is Laura Ingalls Wilder. The next section is the hook. And so the hook can be, it is basically anything that you want to kind of grab in your audience. And so an easy way to do a hook at the beginning of your presentation is to ask a question. And so that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. But other examples of a hook might be to give a really fascinating fact about something, or it might be to say something funny, like kind of tell a little bit of a joke. That can kind of be a hook. Or it might just be a little story, a very short anecdote about something. So that can be a hook. But for us, we're just going to do an interesting question to hook in our audience that's related to your story. And so you ask the question, and then after you put that question in, then you're going to explain how it's connected to your story. So just basically making a question or making a connection between your hook question and the book that you are going to be sharing about. Okay, so then that's the first page. And then there's two more pages. So the second page here is going to be your summary page. And this part is just basically a retelling of what your story was about. You're going to briefly retell it, but if you want to write more, you're totally welcome to. If you want to give a longer summary, you are very welcome to. I've suggested looking at the beginning, middle, and end and writing 3 to 5 sentences. But if you enjoy writing and you just want to kind of go on to 6 or 7 or 10 sentences, that is completely fine for your summary portion. So basically just retelling the story. The next part is going to share what your favorite part of the book was. So just think about something that stood out to you and share about that. You might have more than one favorite part, but you can just choose the one, pick one that you really like. And then we have the persuading part. So this part, you need to think of how you're going to persuade the audience who is listening to your book talk to read this book. And so here I've written, persuade the audience to read this book. In this section, give one or more reasons why someone should read this book. This is the section where you can include something that is inspirational, enjoyable, meaningful, etc. about the book. And so then you would just fill in the section here. I think you should read this book because, okay. And then at the very end, we have, I give this book a rating of, and you can choose how many stars. So 1 star would be not a very good book, which probably it's not going to be if you've chosen to share it. But there's 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, or 5 stars. So you can color in however many stars you want to give as a rating for the book. And of course, the 5 stars would be just an awesome book that everybody should read. Okay. So I'm going to stop the sharing now. That's basically the whole printable. But actually, maybe I will keep it on while I go through my book talk. So I'm going to present my book talk. I have the story of the long winter. So when you do your book talk, make sure you bring your book to the sharing session so that you can show your book, okay? I actually wrote my book talk out on a printable, so I'm going to use that just as a guide. So starting at my introduction. Hello, my name is Mrs. Holder, and I'm going to talk about the long winter. The author of this book is Laura Ingalls Wilder. Have you ever had to stay in your house because there was so much snow surrounding it? So that was my hook, my question. In this book, the Ingalls family and others in their community spend most of 7 months in their house waiting for winter to come to an end. So that was my connection to my question. Now my summary. I did get a little carried away here. So summary now. Pa heard that it was going to be a 7-month-long winter. So he moved his family into town to his store building. The first blizzard started when Laura and her siblings were at school. A brave boy named Cap Garland led the children back to town and to their homes safely. Throughout the winter, blizzards and storms came up often with cold, bright, sunny days in between. The biggest problem that arose in the story was that the railroad became impassable. This meant that goods, such as food, couldn't be brought into the town. People needed to begin rationing their food, and Pa needed to start making logs out of the hay that he had harvested. In the end, Almanzo and Cap Garland, 2 brave young men, traveled to get more wheat from a place south of the town that they had heard about. This was very dangerous, as storms frequently arose. However, they were successful and were able to bring wheat back to the town so that the town had enough food until spring. When the railroad reopened, the trains brought more goods, and everybody was able to move into their springtime. One of the fun things about the end of the story is that there were Christmas packages that were arriving on the trains that had been on hold. So the Christmas packages hadn't arrived in time for Christmas, but when the train came in the spring, the Christmas packages arrived. Okay, so that was my summary. And now I'm moving into my favorite part of the book was reading about how Ma was so brave in taking care of her family. She was calm, positive, wise, and resourceful. The family never went without a meal, even if it was just a small little bun of bread. And then the persuade section. I think you should read this book because there are many good examples of brave and courageous people. It shows the strength of faith, family, and community when times are challenging. And so, of course, I rate this book around a 5 star. It could be a 4 star, but 4 or 5 stars. I rate the book. So that's the end of my book talk. Okay. So that's all you boys and girls need to do. If you're interested in doing the book talk, I have sent an email with the printable, which your parents can print off for you, or you can print off if you're able to. And then you can work on your book talk. Our Zoom sharing calls in November are on November 23rd, 24th, I think. Sorry, let me just look at the dates. We've got students with the last names A to L on the 23rd, November 23rd, and students with the last names M to Z, beginning with M to Z, are on the 30th. And then in December, we're looking at A to L last name students will be on the 7th of December, and M to Z last name students will be on the 14th of December. But I'll share that information with you as well through email. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And I'm looking forward to hearing your book talks.